A lot of my friends have actually brought up the question, you're an environmentalist and you're green and you're going to go out hunting and killing animals.
There's a place in Ontario known as the Land Between. It's a transition zone or a meeting place between two great ecosystems, the agricultural lowlands to the south and the rugged Canadian Shield to the north, making it a region of high biodiversity and ecological importance. And so it's a meeting place of species from the north and south, such as the moose and deer, raven and crow, blueberry and strawberry. Culturally, it is a meeting place between the great First Nations of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee, and this landscape is home to pictographs and petroglyphs, ancient sites that mark a spiritual journey and that communicate the calling of the Great Spirit. It is also a modern meeting place between the country and the city, as many urban people from southern Ontario have cottages in the Muskoka, Kawartha Lakes, and Haliburton areas that are part of this region. In these ways, the Land Between is a kind of microcosm of the world today, because it's a meeting place of distinct perspectives and practices. A place where we experience the struggle between have and have not, between fabrication and nature, between construction and conservation. And so it is a place where we may experience the struggle between judgment and openness, or simply between hope and fear. My name is Leora Berman, and about 10 years ago I helped establish an organization to bring people together to care for this special place. Over the past decade, it's become clear to me that there is considerable fear and misunderstanding among many cottagers and new settlers regarding a tradition that has been practiced for centuries as a means for sustenance, and today is an important part of the cultural fabric of local communities: hunting. This discomfort exists even though hunting and firearms are highly regulated in Ontario, and hunters make a significant contribution to wildlife management and conservation in the Land Between. Despite their differences, I know that cottagers and hunters actually have a lot in common. They both have a long history on this landscape, and they both want this diverse ecosystem to remain healthy for themselves and their children. So I decided to try an experiment. Maybe there's a cottager willing to step out of their comfort zone to learn about hunting in the Land Between. I put out a call for cottagers interested in learning about hunting, and one person who responded right away was Erin Carmody.
My family has a cottage in Apsley, so I spent a lot of time up there on the weekends with my family when I was younger, and now I try as much as possible to get up there, and I love it. It's just beautiful.
Erin lives in Toronto, has a degree in environmental science, and works for an e-learning company. She's interested in hunting because she's becoming more aware of where her food comes from, and she wants to play a more active role in the ecosystem.
People just hear hunting, they make some conclusion in their mind that hunting is bad and evil without ever experiencing it. And I have that opportunity to try it and experience it and to actually be part of the ecosystem, this earth, and play a part as a human and decide whether my stance is hunting is something that I feel comfortable doing or hunting's not something I want to take part in.
After Erin completed a comprehensive hunting and firearms safety education course, she felt ready to accompany some experienced hunters on a hunt.
Hi.
I'm Gary.
Erin, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. This is Carl.
Carl, Erin, hi. So nice to
I set Erin up with my friend Gary Williams, a member of the Curve Lake First Nation near Peterborough.
We're going to be hunting today. We're going to be hunting deer and moose. We've actually just got our hunting and
In
fishing.
Ontario, deer and moose hunting is regulated through a tag system, with a limited number of tags distributed by lottery to hunters every year. Erin doesn't have a tag herself, but she's content to watch and learn all she can from Gary and Carl.
So it sounds like Buddy's ready to go, so maybe we'll just get him out and we'll get rolling. Hey there, Buddy. What's up, man?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's great.
let's roll.
I'm hunting for the first time today, and I'm a bit excited and nervous at the same time, I think.
Start at Eddie's and then I'll...
Gary's cousin Carl will set up in one spot, and Gary, Erin, and Buddy, Gary's other eager hunting companion, will attempt to drive a deer or moose towards Carl's position.
I feel really privileged to be able to go out for the first time with people who've been hunting for such a long time. I asked them earlier how long they've been hunting for, and they couldn't even give me a number, so I think that's a pretty good sign.
Okay, Erin, so you're the dog girl in training today, so
All right.
time to unleash Buddy and see what's up.
All right, you ready, buddy?
He's been ready all morning. Let's roll.
Oh.
Well, we got some deer dropping going on here. Hunting for us, my interpretation of it was just a daily part of existing. In order to survive, we had to hunt, we had to gather. We got a moose track here, Erin. You can actually get in and feel the track if you can't see it to get an idea on which direction it goes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll try and keep my eyes open,
Yeah, keep
see if
your
I
eyes-
can find one.
It could be a couple of days old,
Yeah.
but it's heading in the right direction. Right now, well, I hunt kind of for health reasons. A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and I'm just kind of looking for ways to lessen the effects of that. George Dobbs came to Curve Lake back in the 1960s, and he was doing interviews with people back then. And all of the people that he interviewed were 85, 95 years old. And that was a time where they were still going to hunting camps in the wintertime. 2 families would go, or a group of people would go. But my point is, they lived a very hard life, very harsh life, but they were all in their 90s. So it was over a really short period of time that our diet switched to processed food, and that's something that our bodies weren't accustomed to, which directly relates to our high levels of sicknesses such as diabetes.
All right, so I think I've spotted a track.
Yep, you got her.
Yeah, there's like that.
Gary's
really
personal
there.
reasons for hunting resonate with Erin because health is one of the major reasons she wanted to learn how to hunt.
So make a track.
Covered. I was a vegan for a very long time, and I found myself eating a lot of processed foods like veggie cheese slices that had a lot of weird things in it. I realized I wasn't eating anything really natural. Okay. Then I started trying to become a little bit more aware about where it is my food comes from, and where meat comes from, and then ground beef kind of started freaking me out a bit after learning about that.
All right, Erin, so here we've got a big disturbance of...
After walking towards Carl for about an hour, attempting to push a moose towards him, Gary finds some fresh tracks and decides how to show Erin how to call a moose.
Yeah.
They're a curious animal, so if you make a sound kind of anywhere close to what they do, chances are they'll answer back.
Should I try that? Okay.
More nasal. Goes right off. See, yeah, the idea is just to make something similar, and you did it. You done a good job.
I'll practice.
They get no response from the moose Gary suspects is nearby, so they continue walking towards Carl.
Easy to tell if fresh tracks are not.
There you are, Carlos. Yeah, so nada.
With no
Heard a
moose in
couple
sight
shots.
and the snow coming down hard, the group decides to call it a day. But Gary learns that although Erin has completed her Canadian firearm safety course, she has yet to fire a gun. So Gary finds a safe place for Erin to take her first shot.
Okay, so we said you're going to get your first shot
First
with
shot?
a first shot with a gun on. So we're starting you off with the old 20 gauge pipe.
Okay.
Okay, so to load it up, you just click the button on the break open button, and you put your shell in. It's a bird shot, and you're going to be shooting at that little dark clump just on the far side of the beaver dam there, right in line with the
Christmas tree.
Yeah, exactly, with the Christmas tree. Load her up. Check your barrel, good.
Looks good.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay, now get your stance. Make sure you have a good solid stance. Okay, and then make sure it's tight on your shoulder.
Yep.
Now do you want to pull the hammer back? You got it. Okay, now it's ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Good.
Yep. You shot high. How'd that feel?
It was a little scary. It was a lot more powerful than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
For sure. But I think I know what to expect this time.
All right, so you're set. So you shot a little
Try it
bit.
again.
Yeah, absolutely. You shot about 5 feet to the left and 4 feet high.
Okay.
Perfect. You're there. Little low. You good?
Yeah. Okay.
Before they part ways, Gary and Carl decide to show Aaron how the Anishinaabe traditionally show respect to the Great Spirit and nature during a hunt.
So I want to give you this tobacco bundle. We'd offer tobacco before the hunt and pray before we went hunting. Hope that everybody was safe and that we had a good hunt and that we were able to show respect to the animals or the plants that we gathered. It's a holistic practice that we're just, I think, overall learning to get back in touch with.
Well, I thought it was beautiful and a good way to think about how you give thanks to the earth.
Awesome, so good day.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty, so, yeah,
Thank you.
very good.
Today was exciting, just like I thought it would be. Really calming too, to just go through the woods in such a slow pace. And I've never had anyone actually take me out and show me these types of things. Like, I learned a lot, but I have a lot to learn.
A couple weeks after hunting with Gary, Erin is in for a slightly different experience as she joins Keith Hodgson and Kim Roberts at their hunt camp near Halliburton during their annual deer hunt.
Hi, Marin.
Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you.
I joined my dad at age 6, and I've never missed a deer hunt since then. And I probably hope I never will, as long as I can wheel me out there. It's been a family thing. My grandfather did it, his father did it, and we've had a camp in the area since the 40s. I want you to put Lauren and Randy.
The Hodgsons hunt on several thousand acres of land owned either by themselves or neighbors they've received permission to hunt from. There are about 20 people involved in this morning's hunt, and they plan it carefully. The hunters will position themselves in a semicircle around a lake, and dogs will be used to scare up the deer, hopefully sending them towards the hunters. It's decided Aaron will first accompany Keith as he releases some of the dogs, and then quickly go to visit Kim, who will be camped out nearby, waiting for any deer that might come her way.
Let's have a good hunt, and let's have a safe hunt, like we always do. Buck to you, okay?
Good.
Thanks, man. Down.
Try not to get distracted by the dog's cuteness.
I'm not sure how
Keith hears over the radio that the other set of dogs are already running a deer and tells Aaron to get into position with Kim.
Looks like he's going up
Hurry
there.
up.
Okay, great.
Hurry up.
Oh, God.
Okay. See you later.
So you just gotta watch all these things.
Okay.
So they might have got out of the hunt.
The dogs have chased the deer out of the hunting area, giving Kim a chance to talk about her history with hunting.
Because we've hunted it for all... My dad was a hunter, so I was raised to live off this land. I never really got to hunt because my family tradition was all the men went to the hunting camp, but when I got to be 19, I decided, well, I wanted to get my gun license, and then I met my love of my life, and That's his passion, Keith's passion is to hunt and be in the bush and all that, so I just started hunting after that. Yes, I still go to the grocery store and buy beef and all that, but when I get my opportunity to eat wild game, that's what I like. Is that a gunshot? How about you, Keith?
Kim and Aaron hear several gunshots. Over the radio, they learn another member of their party shot at a deer, but missed. When the excitement dies down, Kim tells Aaron how she and Keith steward their property for wildlife.
But hunters are in the bush all the time. You get to understand it. Keith and I were walking through one day, and we saw this big opening up in the bush, which is not natural. It was never there.
Yeah.
And we thought, geez, that's
quite a
weird.
camp.
Well, when we walked over, there was like 200 beech trees that were all diseased, and they were all dead.
The nuts from beech trees are a primary food source for deer, bear, and many other animals. So when Keith and Kim learned that their forest was hit by the invasive beech bark disease, they removed the dead trees so the 5% of trees expected to survive the disease have more space to grow and reproduce.
Too much and too often, the forest is managed for money. It's not managed for wildlife. There's so many people living where there was not people that the wildlife habitat in some areas are getting lost. And everywhere on every road there's a house or there's a farm or a little horse ranch or whatever. And I think there's a need down the road to think about a little more than just how many lots can I put on this road, or how many lots can I put on this lake, or when all the lakes are developed, are we going to put condos on top of the hill where you can view the lake?
We're here for different reasons. We like to hunt, but we also own the land. We want to make sure the land stays healthy. So if you have to cut the diseased trees out to keep your forest in good shape, we do it because you want the animals here, and not just because we hunt them. We want our bush to be natural and in good shape.
Kim hears over the radio that the hunt has ended.
So I guess this is it. We've lost the dogs, we've lost the deer, he's missed it, and now all the guys are coming out of the bush, so we can pack up and go back to camp.
Back at camp, Cook Mark has prepared chili for the hunters made from venison harvested during a previous hunt.
Wild meat's way leaner. There's no fat in the wild meat. So yeah, I think it's better for you, myself. And it's tastier. There's more flavor to it.
Today was my first time eating venison, and it was delicious. It was kind of neat knowing that, you know, this wasn't some chili that came out of a can.
During lunch, Aaron has a chance to mingle with some of the other hunters.
So what's wrong with your gun?
It was really nice to meet everybody and hear all the different stories. There was a tradition here that if you miss a shot, then you get your shirt tail cut off, and you have to write your name and date and put it on the wall inside there, which was really cool. Oh well.
I'm sure there are hunters that want to be as successful as can be. That's not the issue here. I got a couple friends here that's the only holidays they take a year. So that's pretty important to them. They don't go to Bermuda, they don't go to Cayman Islands, they come here deer hunt. Like our friend Sugar Bear that comes from the East Coast, and it costs him large to come here to deer hunt because he has friends here.
You get close after a while, you know their families and everything that's going on, pretty well in their lives. It's not all in actually getting something. I'll tell you, if I get a chance, I'm going to take a big buck, But it's not what it's all about, eh?
I've had guys go 20 years before they ever killed a deer. But it'll happen, hopefully, and then we'll have some fun and do it again.
I think when I was going into this, I thought I would go into the woods and expect just a deer to walk past me, which I feel insanely naive now. But I think these past couple days were just really getting my mind in the right place and really learning about how is it to really go out hunting. I learned a lot about myself actually today going through this. Maybe even how anxious my body is. I tend to want to move around. I want to talk a lot. But I didn't have any cell phone service, so it was a lot easier to kind of mellow down a little bit. And I don't know, I think I learned a really good lesson about just being patient and still today. So even though we didn't get a deer in the end, I think it was another little baby step for me, and I'm really happy with the experience.
After a winter of target practice, Erin feels confident enough to try hunting herself. Today, she's participating in the spring wild turkey hunt with Micheon Hutchings and her Uncle John on a farm near Minden. Before going turkey hunting, Erin had to complete a turkey hunter education course and purchase a wild turkey license. Once wiped out from the province of Ontario, the wild turkey has seen a major resurgence here over the past 30 years, largely due to the efforts of hunters. In fact, turkey restoration has been so successful they are considered overabundant in many places, making hunting an effective population management tool. But although the wild turkey may be abundant, that doesn't mean it's easy to hunt. To hunt turkey, you arrive in an area turkeys are known to live before sunrise and stay perfectly still in the hopes a skittish turkey will venture close enough to take a shot. Erin is in good hands with Micheon, who has been hunting since she was 12. Her first kill was a wild turkey.
I prefer to hunt for my food because I feel like it's the natural way to do it. I think it builds character. You're more independent. I try not to take multiple shots on animals. I take one shot, and the one shot is to kill them so that they're not suffering.
Micheon's Uncle John uses a number of turkey calls to try and entice any nearby turkeys to come closer. Soon, a turkey responds and starts approaching the group.
When I kept hearing the turkey get closer, I was feeling like, oh my God, like maybe I'm gonna get my first shot. And oh my God, it's like, and it felt so, like it wasn't as scary. It was like, okay, I'm ready for this. Like, come on, turkey. Like, where are you?
But it's not to be. Some curious cows wander through and scare the turkeys away.
Then he didn't come and I got so sad. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I was so ready. Yeah.
Micheon and Erin call it quits shortly after the cows come to pay them a visit. They try 2 more times, getting up before dawn and sitting as still as possible for several hours. One day, they are inundated by mosquitoes. The next, it's freezing cold, but they never see a turkey.
Our last day of turkey hunting was also the last day of the turkey season, and we didn't hear one turkey. Turkeys are teases. They knew exactly what was happening. They knew that if they stayed up in a tree for the rest of the day, and they made it until, sunset, and then they were free, and then they weren't going to get hunted until fall turkey season or something. It was really frustrating when they didn't come. That's it. I just don't know what else to say.
Erin felt discouraged after her turkey hunting attempt, but it wasn't enough for her to give up. Later that fall, she meets up again with Gary and Carl to hunt geese on Curve Lake.
Okay. And you kind of like aim for the, like a little in the front,
Just
right?
a little bit.
Yeah.
In order to hunt waterfowl, Erin purchased a migratory bird hunting permit along with a wildlife habitat conservation stamp, the proceeds of which go to fund habitat conservation in Canada. Like with wild turkey, hunting is sometimes used as a management tool to control Canada geese populations if they become a nuisance. Carl sets up decoys and Gary calls the geese. Many flocks can be seen flying in the distance. After about an hour, a flock starts heading in their direction. The geese briefly fly within range, but Aaron decides not to shoot.
I was really excited. My heart was totally racing. All of a sudden I had all these questions in my head, like, do I shoot? Do I not shoot? Should I wait for it to land? Will it circle back? Is this the best shot? I don't know. And then suddenly it was right above me, and you can't shoot straight up either.
It's always a good call if you're not sure
Yeah.
to not shoot, because you really don't want to wound them if they're out of range.
Aaron and Gary vow to try again later that day. In the meantime, Gary invites Aaron and Carl back to his place at Curve Lake.
You know, it's not that
Breaking
great for
some
it,
sort
you know?
of rule or something.
Gary surprises them with a meal cooked almost entirely from local, wild, traditional foods: wild rice, venison, and pickerel.
Your pan-fried pickerel, lightly seasoned with flour and salt and pepper. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Little something whipped up.
That's so good.
After lunch, Aaron goes with Gary and Carl to visit their friend Conrad, who has a duck blind on Curve Lake. They set out decoys and wait. Just as the sun is starting to set, a pair of bufflehead ducks fly into the harbor.
You got him.
Aaron's shot kills one of the buffleheads. The second shot was Carl's, killing the other bird. Because Aaron is a beginner, the hunters allow her to shoot the ducks on the water rather than in the air, which is the preferred way hunters choose to harvest waterfowl.
So you harvested your first duck.
I did. I harvested my first duck.
How'd that feel?
I was in shock.
Were you?
And now I'm kind of, after doing it for so long, I'm proud of myself.
Were you?
And also a little shocked still because, I was a vegan for a while.
Yeah.
So there's those feelings too a little bit. And I guess we're going to have to clean them, which is also going to be a very different experience.
Okay, so we're going to clean up your first duck.
Yep.
So you're just kind of pulling the feathers in the opposite direction as they're going. How you making out there?
Okay, just really, there's a lot of mental stuff going on that I don't really have words for.
I was a vegetarian, I was a vegan for a very long time, and even as a meat eater, I care about animals deeply. Like, I don't want to hurt another living thing. Even when I pick a flower, I feel guilty about it at the same time, right? So it took a lot of effort. Not to cry.
Yep, you got her. You're through.
Not to feel sick.
Yes.
Oh, dirty business.
Yeah.
Not to go completely vegetarian again and vegan. It took every bit of my control not to cry hysterically while I was doing that. But at the same time, talking through that whole experience with Gary made it so much better.
I want to be gentle with it, I think.
And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, maybe it's respect. I don't know.
It is. We've kind of lost our intimacy with food, or our connection to food.
Yeah.
So just by doing this, you get an appreciation for the bird's life or for whatever has offered itself to you. You got her. Okay, that's good. I'll just go in and clean up. There's probably not a lot to do anyways. Hey, you did it!
I did that.
Yeah! Boom. Voila. 2 ducks!
All right.
Ready for the oven. So you made it!
I made it!
Yay!
Yay! Yeah.
I
I said I wanted to get closer to my food system, and this is it right here. I could survive a zombie apocalypse, kind of.
That's
really.
the main thing. We haven't let you know now yet, but I think that's the whole idea.
We're a moose. It's been good to see you be so willing to learn and to share and to be an example of someone who's willing to try new things and experience things that they haven't experienced before with such an open mind.
It was weird. I thought I was gonna say this was hard. Maybe this isn't for me.
And break it.
Okay.
Yep.
But when I left and said goodbye to Gary after dressing the duck, he said, "Come by again. Come deer hunting." I said yes. Like, I would love to try deer hunting now, and I'd love to be part of this community again and learn to be that close to my food.
Erin has now completed her journey exploring the time-honored practice of harvesting food in the land between. A few days later, back at her place in Toronto, Erin and her boyfriend Alex cooked the ducks along with some wild rice, courtesy of Gary.
Cheers to the duck.
The biggest thing that I said I wanted to really experience through this whole thing is that I wanted to be a human within ecosystems, not a human outside of ecosystems. And that's what I did.
Okay, first.
And I put in a year of effort to learn this practice and make sure that I get an ethical shot and make sure that I can do it in the most humane way possible. And I feel so much better about that now.
It's not about filling the pole up so everybody can have a deer to take home.
We're good to go.
I think it's a little disgruntling to get none, and I think it's a little foolish to take one for everybody. Because what do you do next year, the year after? There's a real role for stewardship in hunting.
I want to give you this tobacco bundle. Hunters, whether they be native or non-native, they have the opportunity to get in touch with the bush, to get in touch with the birds, to get in touch with the leaves and the colors, and just the quiet of being in the bush. And that connection refuels them and reminds them the importance of taking care of what we have left.
The land between represents to me a picture of the broader world in terms of this dichotomy of new and old, innovative and tradition, urban and rural, so all these perspectives. And in spending 10 years building this organization and this awareness, it is important to me to leave a legacy of kindness, of tolerance, of love. And when you're brave enough to explore difference that you may be averted to, that bravery begets love. And that's what I'm hoping this landscape and the people here can embrace and can pass on.